Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast, where every week Danny and Maura Vega discuss topics that help families live a healthy and active lifestyle with their little ones, including nutrition and training, peaceful parenting, education, and mindset. To stay up to date, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast and check out the blog at www.fatfueled.family. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram at dannyvega.ms, at fatfueledmom, and at fatfueledkids, and Fat Fueled Family on YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Vega, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Maura. How are you, my love?
I'm doing good.
Good. Yeah, so we're super excited today because we have a topic that we haven't spent enough time on. I know you guys have heard our episode with Lenore Skenazy, and some of the other episodes, the parenting stuff makes its way into it, but we've wanted to spend a lot more time on this stuff this year, and we're also trying this. You guys might have seen our episode with Sean Wells where we recorded video. So if you guys like that, definitely comment. If this is on YouTube, comment and let us know if you want more of these, because we want to do more of these, but only if you guys want them. So let me get right to the introduction because we're super excited. We just discovered Marcella not that long ago. Marcella is a licensed therapeutic provider in therapeutic foster care with the state of Arizona. She's a mom of twins and parent coach, and she helps parents like you understand what your children communicate through their behaviors so you're able to respond with exactly what your children need. She's the creator of Parenting with Understanding, a program that takes parents from I don't know what I am doing, I've tried everything and nothing is working, to responding with exactly what your children need. Maura found her on TikTok, where she has grown a following of over 14,000. We just had to switch that because it was 13,000 in a short amount of time with her helpful content. We're super excited to dig into one of our favorite topics with her. Just a little disclaimer, if this episode strikes a nerve, please remember that we're not attacking anyone. Parenting is hard enough without having to deal with a bunch of us at each other's throats. All we're doing is providing an alternative to the current authoritarian parenting paradigm. We aren't raising spoiled kids. We aren't teaching them to be entitled. We just view the relationship differently. And this episode will help you get a better picture of our approach. With that said, welcome to the show, Marcella. Marcella, welcome.
Hello, Danny and Maura. How are you?
Very
How
good.
are you?
Again, it's really good to hear someone pronounce Maura's name good.
I know.
Thank you for inviting me to the podcast.
It's great to have you. We're super excited to talk about all the stuff that you post about daily. I was following you on Instagram because I'm trying to get into TikTok, but I haven't.
I can't believe you were following her on Instagram.
No, I when you told me about her, I followed her from Instagram.
Okay.
I thought it was Instagram.
Okay. I thought you were like following her on Instagram, and then I told you from TikTok.
No, I wish I was that advanced, but no, you found her.
Awesome. Well, Marcella, we always lead off with a question. What is the most critical problem that you're currently trying to solve?
Okay, so have you seen parents that say, I feel like I've tried everything and nothing's working? I tried counting to 3, I tried timeouts, I tried taking things away, I tried talking to my child, I tried the choices, I tried acknowledging feelings, I read positive parenting books, gentle parenting books, and sometimes it feels like it is a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I help those parents that are in that situation go from I tried everything and nothing's working to responding with what their children exactly need by teaching them parenting with understanding. Parenting with understanding of what? Of what their children communicate through their behaviors and how to respond according to the need that the behavior communicates.
That is such a great way to put it. And we love that you mentioned that because, I think so many parents, they go into it thinking this person, Marcella, is going to help me fix my child's behavior.
Right.
But then of course, like they learn that it's really like most of the time it's our behavior. A lot of the time, if a need's not being met, that's why the child is doing something. And unfortunately, if we don't speak that language, we're not going to understand what the needs are. So it's awesome to have an expert like you helping parents to really just speak that language.
90% of communication is nonverbal. We are communicating through behaviors all the time, children and adults, all of us. So that being said, every single behavior is communication. Yeah. Every time that your child is displaying a behavior, it is not because he's trying to give you a hard time, but because he is communicating something that he doesn't understand yet and that he cannot communicate it otherwise.
It's so good.
It's so good the way you said that too. It just makes it easy to understand.
Yeah. So let's jump right in and let's talk about the root of child behavior, because once we understood age appropriate behavior, we stopped taking it so personal, and it allowed us to be more understanding with the boys. Can you speak a little bit about the root of some of these behaviors parents typically label as bad behavior and some of the possible root causes?
Okay, so parents in general, I've seen that they divide behaviors in two categories. Behavior, which are the things that they want to see from their children, and misbehaviors are the things that they don't want to see from their children. I don't know you, but I've never heard somebody telling me as an adult you're misbehaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell Danny.
Or I've never seen somebody complaining about
true.
his boss or about his mother-in-law saying they're misbehaving.
It's true.
So, first of all, I want to say that this is just a word or a concept that we have when it comes to children's behaviors. Behaviors are not good nor bad. They're just an avenue that children use to communicate their needs. So, what is the root of children's behaviors? The root of children's behaviors is the need that they have that they don't know how to communicate in a pro-social way. So they use it the way they know, maybe through tantrums, maybe through defiance, maybe through back talk. Many parents tell me this is just a phase, this is just going to go away, the tantrums are going to stop once the toddlerhood years are over. The tantrum might stop because it is a toddlerhood behavior, but the need is still there. So
Right.
you might not see the 9-year-old on the floor crying and screaming and kicking, but you are going to see that behavior, that need being expressed through the behavior of that particular developmental stage.
Right.
So if at 3 years old, anxiety is expressed through a tantrum, at 12 years old, anxiety might be expressed through verbal aggression, for example. So it doesn't matter at what developmental stage our children are at, if we don't unveil what they communicate through their behaviors, we are always trying to attack or trying to address the symptom and not the cause.
So good.
We do this with a lot.
Yeah.
We do this in the medical field too.
We do it in the medical field. It's so interesting. It's very similar, like
Yeah.
how people just see a symptom and they just they give someone a medicine instead of trying to figure out what's the underlying
Right.
cause. So good.
Yeah, so good.
I was picking up my twins. I go to the gym every day, like you guys.
Yay.
So I was picking up the twins from my gym daycare, and I like to look through the window before they see me, what they're doing, how they're behaving, how they're interacting with others, especially because they're twins.
Yeah.
I want to make sure if they're having like their own personality, making their own friends. Anyway, so I was looking through the window, and then I saw that one of my twins went to ask a friend if they could play with the same Legos that he was building. The friend rejected him, and after that, my son kicked the kid's tower Lego down. He kicked it down.
Right.
So the worker of the daycare came right away, and then she said, "No, we don't kick our friends' toys. We don't kick our friends' toys." And then he gave him a little timeout in a corner.
Right.
And I didn't intervene right away. I just wanted to see what was going to happen. After the 2 minutes, he came out of the timeout, and guess what he did?
Knocked it down again?
No, he went and pushed the kid.
Oh, he escalated.
Because now it's his fault. Yeah.
So
I felt like it was his fault.
this is the thing. She saw the behavior and she wanted to stop the behavior, but because the need was there, then the behavior escalated.
Right.
Because the need escalated.
Right.
So now we don't have a child. We don't just only have a child that doesn't know how to cope with rejection, but we have a child that is struggling to cope with rejection and to cope with the anxiety that he was feeling while he was left alone in a corner.
Right.
So the behavior escalated.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. And we're going to get into those you know, timeouts and stuff like that. I definitely want to talk to you about that. But I really like how you specify the difference between challenging behaviors and then behaviors that challenge us. What do you mean by that? What do you mean when you say that?
I get it all the time on DM, on comments. I have a challenging child, or I have a child that has challenging behaviors.
Right.
For a child to be able to qualify for therapeutic services in the therapeutic foster care system, he has to have at least one or more challenging behaviors. And there are three things that we use to categorize or to determine if that behavior is challenging for the child. So the first thing that we see is if the behavior is age appropriate. So, for example, I had a child years back that he was 8 years old and he wasn't potty trained yet. That wasn't an age appropriate behavior, so he met that criteria. Okay, so the second criteria is that the behavior is not is is not that safe. Like is the safety of the child or others is in jeopardy. And a toddler tantruming and kicking you, it might not seem safe, but it is not unsafe. You're not going to get hurt because your 2-year-old is kicking you, right?
Right.
I have a child in therapeutic foster care that he took a glass, he broke it, and with the piece, he was about to cut his throat. That is a challenging behavior.
That's challenging.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the second component. So I already said not age appropriate, the safety. And the third thing is that the behavior is impairing the child's development. So the child that was 8 years old and wasn't potty trained yet, he knew, and he was embarrassed at school. When it was happening at school, he was embarrassed with his friends that he soiled his pants. He didn't know how to address that. It was impairing him in his normal activities. So that's the third criteria. I know it seems really challenging for you that your 2-year-old is throwing a tantrum in the middle of the church service, but it is developmentally appropriate. It is safe, even though you might think that it's not safe, it is safe. And the third thing is that it is not impairing his development.
That is.
I really like that because that's like a good checklist that you can, a parent could go through to see.
Yeah, and it's the same. One of the other things that we've always said is like, is this really an emergency?
Right.
You know, because we act hastily because we think that, like you said, it's usually just our egos. Like we have to just admit it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or anything, but you know, if we're in the middle of a restaurant and the kid's kicking, and of course it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable for us, but it's not a real emergency.
Yeah.
So we should still attend to the child.
Of course.
That's great. I definitely think people are going to learn a lot and just be able to frame their thinking better when they encounter these things, because it gives you peace of mind. You know, it's like, you know, everybody thinks that their child is the hardest. Everybody thinks that their child is, but when you just frame it that way, you can just be like, you know what, this is like any other child. Right. So we want to move on to sharing because, you know, we agree that this is a skill that children definitely need to learn, but we're also big believers in property rights. So our kids earn the money to buy most of their things, unlike many other children. And so, you know, for us, when we tell them that they don't have to share, we tell them why it's important to share. And it's worked well for us. But, you know, I think you have a little bit of a different view, or if anything, just what are some of the ways that you encourage sharing without forcing them to share?
Without forcing.
Okay, when you parent your children with understanding, you know how they function at each developmental stage. I get comments, my 2-year-old is not sharing. What do I do? My 2-year-old is taking the toy from his friend. What do I do?
Yeah.
Okay, if you know how your child functions at a 2-year-old stage, you know that 2-year-olds don't play with others. They don't play with others. They're not developmentally ready to play with others. They do something that is called parallel play, but they don't build play. They play alongside others, but they don't play with others. So this skill of sharing, it is not something that you could start teaching a 2-year-old. Even if your child is close to 3, he's not ready yet.
Yeah.
Now, once he turns 3, he's ready to start, he's ready to play cooperatively with others. He's ready to build play, and then you could start teaching them this skill. But when it comes to that, I'm not so much of a fan of like the concept of sharing. Why? Because it is very, how would I say that? Intangible. Children learn what they see, what they hear, what they can see, what they can touch, what they can hear. They're very visual, very tangible. If you say share, they don't understand it because it is they cannot grasp it, they cannot see it, they cannot live it, right? When it comes to the concept of sharing, it is very intangible. So when it comes to that, I would prefer if you want to teach your child the concept of playing with others, you could teach them the concept. You could teach them how to take turns, which it has a method. It has steps that you can easily see, that you can easily grasp.
Right.
Sharing is like you say share and they don't know what it is. You say take turns, you can teach them simple steps. Now, there is another thing when it comes to that we need to prepare our children for how the real world works.
Right.
So I don't go to the church and I say, okay, now it's my turn to sit on this chair.
Right.
And then if the person says no, then I just kick it out of the seat. I don't do that, right?
Right.
So, but then you could tell the person when you're done sitting, or when you could wait until the person is done sitting there, or you could even tell the person, can you please get over a little bit and share these things?
Right.
Something like that. So the same way that we exercise taking turns, and the same way that we exercise relating cooperatively with others, we could teach that to our children. So for example, if they're on the playground and then this other child is taking the whole playground for himself, then you could train your child into telling him, okay, let's work together in this. Like, you are in this side, I can be in this other side. That's something that we naturally do as adults, right?
Yeah.
So it is how I said, children are not adults, but it is our job to train them on how adulthood relationships work. So that's how I would approach it. Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I love that you always bring it back to us adults, because we always separate the kids. We do it with food too, which is another thing that we talk about a lot. But yeah, we just treat them differently. And yeah, they are children, but they're supposed to grow up into these adults. So I always use the example of the gym too, because as far as the community toys and stuff, like if someone is taking a machine at the gym, I mean, I'm just going to go up to them and I'm either going to wait, or I'm going to say, hey, let me know when you're done.
You're going to wait because
I'll wait because I don't say anything.
She doesn't, yeah.
But, or you would just ask them. So yeah, just showing them how to speak up for themselves, and just, conflict resolution instead of just like share.
And not always, the thing that we see a lot too is relying on an authority figure.
Yeah.
Like, he's not sharing. And then what are they going to do when they grow up? Like, go tell a cop something, go tell, go tell someone else to solve your problems, when you can do it non-violently. And if you practice as a child, you're learning non-violent conflict resolution instead of depending on someone else to make them share or to make them do something. So yeah.
I don't know if I was clear enough, but
no, yeah,
it was very clear. Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very clear. All right, so the next question, we're gonna have to talk about it. Spanking. So this is a hot topic, and it can really hit a nerve with a lot of parents. But there is some good science that's come out, suggesting that spanking does affect the gray matter in children's brains. But what else can you add with respect to spanking? Why shouldn't we, or should we?
From the parenting with understanding perspective, we are always meeting our children's needs, and that how the behavior improves.
Right.
If you don't meet your child's needs, the behavior escalates or it translates to another behavior because the need builds up. Let's see with the example of my child kicked the tower, like the Lego tower down, and then I spank him. When he goes back to the setting, does he know how to speak up for himself and maybe talk to his friend about if they could play together? Would he know that skill?
No.
No, he would not know it. Would he know how to cope with rejection successfully? No, he would not know it. Would he know how to ask for help from an adult to meet that need? No.
No.
So spanking, I'm not saying like, I mean, parents here, they have the right to choose, but anything, I would say, anything that you do, instead of asking, how can I get my child to do something? It is, how can I help my child learn this something, right?
Right.
So instead of going from, I need to stop the behavior, it is, how can I meet my child's needs so the behavior improves? I honestly, I don't see how the behavior would improve with spanking just because it doesn't meet needs.
Right.
Now, people might say it works because it stops the behavior. It might stop the behavior. I'm not saying it would, but because the need's still there, it will always transfer to a different behavior
Right.
if the child doesn't feel safe expressing the behavior that he got in trouble with. So, for
Yeah.
example, if he's feeling jealous because there is a new baby in the house, maybe he poked the little baby brother on the head, the mama saw him doing that, he got a spanking. Next time, he's not going to poke the little baby on the head because he might be afraid of the spanking, but because he still has this jealousy that he's trying to work through, then he might be, maybe he will scream so loud that it will hurt the baby's ears. Or maybe he would just try to run away to call the attention, something, just because the need is still there.
Right. Right.
So true. I love that. And you know what? Like this is gonna help people really think about all of their relationships. Like it's not gonna just be children. You're gonna be
Yeah.
like, once you start thinking about it that way, I mean, how many times have we fought and we're just like, we want to be right?
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot. I want to be right, and instead of being right, we can apply those same things to our adult relationships, and I think it would help all of our relationships if we looked at
Yeah.
things that way.
Yeah.
There's always an explanation because nobody is in their mind. Very few people are like, you know what, I want to be the villain. I want to be a mean
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Everybody is the hero of their own story,
Right.
and everybody has needs that aren't being met. And sometimes a lot of us, I mean, me for example, like I know a lot of men, for example, we have a hard time seeing nonverbal cues, and we need some things to be spelled out. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. So this is like outside of that 2 to 5 year range, but we just wanted to get your thoughts on this one because it's another area that I think would be very helpful to parents, and that is, what about like some of these strategies that parents use to quote unquote sleep train their children, and tactics like, cry it out, like let them cry it out until they magically just
Fall asleep.
fall asleep and love to be in their crib separated from their parents. I'm just kind of curious on what you thought
Yeah.
about that.
Just curious on your thoughts.
Is this about babies?
Yeah.
Okay, the cry it out method. Your child might cry it out, yes, and he might stop crying. But then he might learn one of two things. He might learn that I cry and my mom doesn't come or my parents don't come, so I'm going to shut down with all my needs, and then the behavior would come out in a different way.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I
Or
know.
he will learn to maybe cry until he throws up, and then now he gets the mom's attention, and then he's going to learn that it takes to go to that extreme to get what he's needing, which is the attention or the connection that he's craving.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about, because the next question we had was about like other punishments like timeouts, and you kind of mentioned that. a little bit. But what about, some people will like take something, take away a privilege, or I mean, I know what you're gonna say, because it's like it's all the same. It's like you're not meeting the need, but it's like, what problems can come from just taking something that, like let's say my 9-year-old, I don't know, he doesn't do something that I want and I take his iPad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is very
Okay.
popular.
So let me give you an analogy. Let's see, what's going on?
Oh, nothing.
Sorry.
So just an analogy. Let's see that you have to work on your patience. That's your need. You need to learn to be patient with your children. And then your husband comes to you and he takes your morning coffee away to help you learn patience.
That's good.
Would you learn patience, or how would that make you feel?
Definitely not be more patient. That's for sure.
Exactly.
The other thing is that, and that happened to one of my clients, because I do private consultations now because I'm focused on releasing this program. But then she was telling me, I took everything away and now she's behaving worse. And I said, of course, now she doesn't have anything to lose. If you
Right.
put somebody in the position that you don't have anything to lose, then they're going to go down a self-destruction path. Anybody, if you are in the position, even adults, if you are in the position, Danny, that you don't have anything to lose, if you don't have your family, if you don't have nothing, what would you do?
Anything.
Yeah,
Really.
anything.
You will be willing to do anything. And let's talk about the feelings. If you are, if something happens and then that person doesn't agree with what you did, and then they take a valuable from you, let's see, a really great value for me. Let's see, somebody takes my wedding ring away. That's my most valuable right now. What is the feeling that I would start to build that from my end towards that person?
Oh yeah, of course.
Resentment, right?
Resentment.
Yes. And what was the lesson there?
I feel like the lesson gets lost either way, because then you're just obsessing about what they took from you.
Yeah, and you're hurt.
It becomes
And you're
about
hurt.
the thing.
It's
and
about
not
the thing. Yeah.
about what you want to learn. Another thing, when it comes to coping mechanisms, sometimes like play is an awesome coping strategy for children. If your children are upset and they went to playing, why are you taking that away? That's the only way they have to help them control their emotions. I heard a story of she was a behavioral health professional, and then this child, he was in the autism spectrum disorder, and then he had this, how do you call those cubes?
Rubik's Cube.
Oh,
My
Rubik's
son
Cube.
loves those. Yeah, Rubik's Cube.
He had that, and then he was really like obsessive over that, and then he did a behavior and she took that away. And the child ended up in the hospital. Well, now we're talking about children with high behavioral needs.
Yeah.
But then this lady, she lost the license because she took the only thing that this child had to cope with big feelings away. So, and ended up in really bad shape. I'm not saying that all children are going to do that, because I'm saying I work with children with high behavioral needs, but for sure it escalates the behavior and it doesn't mean that.
Yeah, it doesn't make it go away.
The bottom line up to this point that everybody should realize is, like, these things, not only are they, I mean, we can say that in our opinion they're wrong, but they're ineffective. So you're not going to get what you want. I mean, I've had to learn that with my little one, because my wife understands him so much better. And I've had to, because I've clashed with him before, and I never win when that happens. Nobody wins when that happens.
Because it's about winning.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about the term strong-willed children. What are your thoughts on this label, and what can you say to parents who are having a challenge with their quote-unquote strong-willed child?
Excuse me, before we move on to that, I want to add something.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Hold on, let me gather my thoughts. Um, I don't think it's because parents feel that they want to win. Maybe yes, maybe no, but from what I've seen in general with my clients and in the program that I work with, and the things I've seen in general is more that they are fearful that their children are going to get out of hand.
Yes.
So they might tell me when I teach gentle parenting, parenting with understanding, they might tell me that if you tell me I don't spank, I don't do timeouts, I don't take things away, they feel that they lost all the tools they had,
Right.
all of them, knowing that they could learn new tools and there are new tools that are available but that they don't know yet. So I think it's more that fear than just I want to be right and you're wrong.
Oh, 100%. I absolutely agree with that, because that's something that I've had to tell myself. Am I acting out of fear or am I acting out of love? And a lot of times the reason that I do get upset, especially at my 9-year-old, is because I have that fear or something that he's not gonna, turn out the right way. And then I have to realize that that's me. And I shouldn't project that onto him, because he's his own person. And have faith that everything's gonna, he's gonna be fine either way in the end.
Yeah.
But,
And people that are interested in gentle parenting, because there are many people out there that are reading about it, that they want to move away from fear-based methods, that are interested in gentle parenting, parenting with understanding. They feel that if they go this way, they're going to become permissive.
right.
Yep.
Permissive parenting is hands off.
Right.
Hands off. So if you are on the playground and then your child is hitting another, you're like, okay, love it. Just they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Gentle parenting is the total opposite. We are very hands on,
Yes.
but with different methods.
I agree.
Yeah. So I mean, that's so good. I was thinking of something when she mentioned that. I completely forgot.
Let
Oh,
me know if you think about
yeah.
it. So, all these alternatives to the typical paradigm, they seem really awesome. And of course, we're 100% in agreement. But they definitely require, more effort, and it can be daunting to parents who are new to it. So what are some things parents can do in the heat of the moment? Because we all get upset. We all have our limits. We all have our triggers. So what are, just some tricks that you do, or just some types of, some tools that we can use as parents to help us calm down in the moment?
To help ourselves calm down, or
To help ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
to
It's
help
really
Yeah,
ourselves
to
ourselves.
help
calm down.
ourselves. Well, to help ourselves really, as parents who are just because this we've been practicing this method for a while, and some days it's harder than others. I have less patience on certain days. And so just what are some tools that, as moms, as dads, when we're feeling really triggered in that moment where we're like, I'm about to lose it, what can we do to kind of just take a moment and calm down? What are some tricks that you have?
Okay, the first thing is to apply understanding on our own selves.
Right.
Behavior is communication. When we are behaving, we are yes, sure, communicating needs as well. So what is your need? Is it because you've been with the kids 10 hours straight and then you haven't had any break?
Right.
Is it because you are overtired, you are sleep deprived? Is it because it is 2 o'clock and you haven't eaten lunch? Is it
Right.
because you just had a discussion with your husband, or you just hung up with your boss? Most of the times that we react to behavior is not about the behavior itself.
No.
It's about
Right.
that something that happened to us, and then the child comes in, behaves, and then we react
Mm-hmm.
to it. So I would say the first thing is to always go back and connect back with our needs, to connect back with our needs. And then I would say I even teach it, to use the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule, have you ever read Brad Nelson?
No. No.
No.
Okay, so she teaches it the different way. She's not a parent coach, she's a motivational speaker. And
Okay.
she talks about the 5-second rule. So she says that when you are going to do anything, you are more likely to do anything when you count from 5 to 1 and then you do it. Like there are very many studies about it, like psychological studies. So if you are very scared of doing, for example, going and asking for a raise, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you launch yourself and
I
you
love
go
it.
and do it.
Right.
I teach it the opposite way. Once you see the behavior, to delay your response 5 seconds. That is going to give your brain enough time to reset. Always. It doesn't matter if your needs are depleted. It always allows your brain to reset. Because the reason why we react is because the brain receives our children's behaviors as a threat, right? Our brain doesn't distinguish between a lion and a crying child. Doesn't. When the brain sees a threat, he always releases the same kind of hormones, the same kind of things in the brain. The same things happen, and it prepares us for the fight, flight, or freeze response.
Right.
When we delay our responses, then we are able to disconnect our emotional part of the brain back to the logical part, and it will help us respond.
Like there's a saying from what was the name of, he was a Jewish guy in concentration camp, and oh my gosh, well, he said a quote that basically between stimulus and response there's a space, you know, like
Yeah.
and like if we make more space for our response, like we can respond versus reacting. So that makes perfect sense, and I'm not surprised that, well, first of all, I think it's kind of cool that it's more likely for you to do something if you count back from 5. I'm gonna definitely
Yeah, that's
share
Yes.
good.
that with people.
So the name is, I wasn't sure about the name. The name is Mel Robbins.
Okay, I'm
She
gonna write
has
it down.
a book. It's called The 5 Second Rule. And she's been a motivational speaker, like really big one, like next to Tony Robbins, that kind of
Nice.
people. And then she talks about that is backed up by science. And it says that your brain screws you up over and over again because the main purpose or the main job of the brain is to ensure survival,
Of course.
right? So if that thing that is coming is perceived as a threat, the brain is always going to stop you from
Right.
doing it, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
at the other hand, when your brain is perceiving something as a threat, it might push you to fight because it's one of the 3 responses. So that's when we lash out at our kids. That's when we spank, for example. That's when we yell. That's when we send kids to their room, not because we know it's what they need, but because we are in that flight, fight, or freeze response.
Yeah.
When we delay our responses 5 seconds, we give our brains enough time. Now, if it is safe, if your child is about to jump out of the car, don't wait 5 seconds.
No,
But if
don't.
it is safe, do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's
how
like,
I do. That's how I've been doing therapeutic foster care because these children, they have a lot of triggers, and who do they take it on me?
Right.
So
Right.
wow.
I use the 5 second rule, and sometimes I'm not up to the 5 second rule either. So I delegate. If my husband is around or if nobody's around, I take a break myself. So
Yeah.
that's how I help myself regulate.
That's very
That's
good.
very good.
Viktor Frankl is the name of the person who wrote that, by the way.
Oh,
I just
okay.
had to remember. Okay, how about mindset is one of our big topics that we cover on this show. So, how can we foster a growth mindset in our children?
A growth mindset. The first thing is to teach them the word yet, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
So
good.
I like
Yes,
that.
I love that.
so when they say I cannot do it, this is too hard, you cannot do it yet,
Yet.
and to teach them the power of yet, that's a big one.
I like that. And that's easy for small children too, to just be able to grasp that concept of, failure is not bad. We're just learning. That's one thing we'll do. We focus on, failure is not bad. Like we always try to show our boys that, every time we have a saying, that we use, and we always say, winners don't lose, they learn. Um, so, there is no failure. There's what did you learn from that. So I really like that. Yet is a really good one on how to
And another thing is the way that we respond to their accomplishments as well,
oh,
because
yes.
research has shown that children that are praised or acknowledged just for results, they grow up with a fixed mindset.
Yes.
Yes.
So, for example, a child that is only praised once he wins that race or once he passed that test, then when it is hard and they cannot do it, they give up, because what it tells them is that they are good enough as long as they win, as long as they
Right.
get that result. So it is not just the words that we tell them, but how we behave with the things they do as well.
That's so good. I wanted to share because the yet is a good one, but there's 5 words that we try. Well, look, I said one of them. There's
Yeah,
5 words that we don't want them to say. One of them is need to, like instead of saying need to, like I get to.
Yeah.
Have to. That's another one. Impossible, try, and
Try.
can't. Those words. I mean, I think for adults and for kids, like you can't yet.
Right.
Like that. I love that framing it that way.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. So here's another one that I love. So what are some of the potential outcomes when we discourage our children from expressing their emotions? So when we say things like stop crying, or comparing them to their, brother and sister, or just, if you don't behave, if you want to be part of this family, or things like that. Because I think that those are just things that it's almost like word vomit that you're like, you just repeat these things.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you're doing it just because your parents probably did that to you. So yeah, what are some of the outcomes that can happen? Like, what are we telling them?
Our words always become our children's inner voice, always. So if our children are crying and we say it is not a big deal, later in life they're crying because they lost their job or they lost their wife. And why are they repeating in their head
Yeah.
what they heard from us? So they're either going to shut down or they're going to dismiss other people's feelings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, I don't even know. Like we've covered so many good topics. Like we ran out of questions. I don't know. Is there anything that we missed? Anything that
Yeah,
you'd
what
like
did
to
we
talk
miss?
about?
Like, you're the expert. Anything that you that you think we missed, especially when it comes to young children, because it's such a hard age, new parents, um, dealing with tantrums, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, what else? What else?
Okay, I just want to ask you if it's okay if I talk a little bit about what the structure of the program will
Oh,
have.
that's
Yeah, that was
perfect.
gonna be
That's
that was
perfect.
gonna be our last question anyway. So you do
No, no,
have a
no, no,
program.
but we can wrap it up with this question that you're
Yes,
asking
absolutely.
right now.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
so when you see your child's behaviors and you want to respond and you want to respond away from fear-based methods, I always recommend for you to apply the use formula, the USE formula, use formula. So the U stands for unveiling what your child communicates through his behaviors, because every behavior communicates a need. When you see a behavior, that's the first step. Unveil what your child communicates through his behaviors. The S is settling your children down from upset, helping your children calm down. Our first reaction is to stop the behavior.
Right.
My job as a therapeutic provider, I'm not getting paid to stop behaviors. I'm getting paid to help children through behaviors.
Right.
Right? And that's our job as parents as well. How can we help our children through a behavior so they could go from upset back down to cool down stage? So that's the S. And the E is the reason why there is a behavior. It is because it's the only way they can communicate that need now.
Right.
So when you practice E, which is educating your child in a positive expression of his needs, then that's when you're going to see a real improvement on their behaviors. So instead of them hitting the dog to tell you, I need to connect back with you, mom, you haven't paid attention for me in a while, they could actually say it in a pro-social way. So that's the E, educating your child in positive ways of communicating. So that's the use formula. This is not something that I came up with, that it is like a concept or something that I just came up with out of the blue. It is the formula that therapeutic providers use when we get children in our services. We sit down with a team. It is not just me. We are a big team. And then we talk about their needs, which is unveiling the need. Then we talk about how we can help this child through their behaviors. And the last thing is that we talk about how we can educate this child to communicate their needs better. And we create a service plan. So that's why I teach in Parenting with Understanding. I teach the use formula for parents because you don't have to have a child with high behavioral needs to use the use formula. Why? Because every child has behaviors. And what do every child has behaviors? Because every child has needs.
Right.
As long as your child has needs and behaviors, you are going to need to use the use formula. And that's why I teach in Parenting with Understanding. I take parents from I tried everything and nothing works to responding according to the emotional need that their children communicate using this formula.
Love it.
I love that. I love
So
that. And
good.
so, give us some more information before we let you go. First of all, tell us where people can find you and website as well on social media. And then just when do you
Yeah, about your
plan to have
course.
the course? When do you plan to have that up and running for everybody?
Okay, so my social media is High Impact Club, and then you find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm there every day, pretty much. And then I have a free tool. It's called the Emotional Needs Roadmap. I know it is hard for parents that want to parent their children away from fear-based methods to find the right responses now. So I want them to start having success now by this tool, the Emotional Needs Roadmap. You could literally see the behavior, go to the tool, match the behavior with the response and the need, and that is going to set you up for success.
Love that.
And then you can find it in parentingwithunderstanding.org/roadmap.
Perfect. We're gonna put that in the show notes, and then so then obviously
So
the
that's different
website
from the
is
course because that's a free tool that you have, correct?
Yes,
So that's separate from your course.
that's just a free tool, and I created it because many of my followers were like, I don't know what the need is. I'm confused. I don't want to go back to spanking to timeouts. What do I do? So that's
Right.
why I created it, kind of
Yeah.
like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, cheat sheet.
yeah,
Yeah. I
Yes.
love it.
perfect.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about your course. For those who maybe want to dig deeper and really want to, take maybe the full course, what can they expect and what would you like everyone to know?
Okay, so if you feel that, how do I say this? There are many parents that they go online and they find different answers to tantrums, to different behaviors, and they go and they apply on their children, and it doesn't work, and it is because they don't understand their children's behaviors.
Yeah.
So once you complete the course, you are going to live with the skill to read your child's behaviors and know what is the need that they communicate and how to respond according to that need. So you're not wondering ever again, is this going to work, or am I being too hard, too soft? You are sure that you are always responding to what they need.
I love that.
I love
I love
that. I love
So,
that
is
so
there a
much.
date for the course, like a launch date?
Okay, so right now I'm working on the course. Okay, so yes. I'm going to have a launch the end of April.
Okay.
On the last week of April, I'm going to do a full week of training. It is free. And
Nice.
in there, people are going to go there and then they're going to be familiar with the use formula. I'm going to go over what each element of the use formula is. And after that, if they want to enroll to the program, they can enroll. So it is an online program. It is completely online. Once they enroll, they have access to the platform, and then it has 3 modules. Each module is an element of the use formula, and then the modules are video lessons that come with video and with worksheets
Nice.
and with cheat sheets. And then we're going to have a private Facebook group
Okay.
exclusive for the people that are in the program, where they're going to have access to me through live trainings. See, because when you're going through a program, you have questions, so I don't
Yeah.
want to just leave you hanging. I'm
Right.
going to be there. Uh-huh. Eh, and then yeah, that's how it's going to be.
Amazing.
I love
Well,
it.
we're gonna definitely put all of this in the show notes, and just for anyone listening, we'll definitely be keeping you guys updated as all of the stuff for the launch comes together and all of that, so that we can help promote it in any way, because this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, even weeks ago when we recorded this, because we recorded this weeks ago, uh, you guys remember that I put her Instagram on my story, High Impact Club. So hopefully you guys are following her already. If not, make sure to follow her. So that way you can start to familiarize yourself with, kind of these concepts that she's talking about. And if you stay connected and you keep learning about these things, it's just gonna stay at the front of your mind, and you're not gonna fall into those habits, because we have habits. We have
Yeah.
so many people have been parenting a certain way for so long that,
Yeah.
or maybe they it's the only way they know, that it's gonna be kind of difficult to switch that habit if they're not conscious of it.
It's just
So
like breaking anything else. It's a mindfulness practice, just being mindful. I really think that the 5 second rule is going to help me. That's for sure.
yeah,
Um, and it can help you guys, start practicing these, new methods. And then I think once you see the results, that's always rewarding, because you will, everyone's going to get what they wanted and what they needed. And it's going to be done in a less,
confrontational.
confrontational way, where, even if, because here's the thing, like, sure, there's been times where I have gone to, like, and even knowing in my mind that it's not what I want to do, just like taking some from Desmond or something for a behavior, and it never feels good. Like, I feel like I never got what I
Yeah,
wanted anyways, because he's mad at me now, and I always regret it every time. I always have to apologize. So I think once you start seeing those, positive outcomes, and the changes in your child, it's just more motivation to continue.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much,
yeah, seriously,
Marcela,
that
for
was
taking the time. I know
this is
you're
a
so busy
very
with your
important
twins.
topic. Very important topic. So, for us, this is not boring one bit. We've been doing it for a long time, and we still are just like, it's very important to us.
Yeah, this is
So,
one of our favorite things to talk about.
because like the way we see it, if you have two people who are, relatively mentally and emotionally stable and emotionally intelligent, you want to pass that on to your kids, because now you're four people.
Oh, I actually have one last thing, but
Oh
keep
yeah.
going.
So I'm just saying, like, if you, where there's two, now there's four, and that's how we spread this type of awareness throughout the whole community, and that's how we change culture. That's how we change, adults acting, having adult temper tantrums.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important to us, and that's why you guys know, are just the way we view kids. Kids are so important.
So when you were saying that, it just made me think of one more thing, and I would love to get your advice and opinion, Marcela, because one of the things that we get, because we talk a lot about nutrition, or maybe homeschooling. And one of the things that we always get in our DMs is, I'm all about it, but my husband isn't, or my wife
that's
isn't.
important. Yes.
So I can see this
Or
maybe
co-parenting.
I can see this maybe happening, or there's a lot of people who are in a situation where they're co-parenting. What advice do you have for maybe those moms or dads who maybe want to start doing something different and start using this positive parenting approach, and maybe the other parent is not really
On board.
not having it?
Well, the Bible says, I know it by its fruit. So
Yep.
start doing the work, and then
Yeah.
your husband, your wife is
That's what
going
I
to
say.
see the result, and then they're going to come on board just because they see it, that it works. And I have a testimonial about that. Before I decided to take Parenting with Understanding online, I was doing it with clients. And one of my clients, she said, I want to do it, but my husband is not on board.
Right.
And then she said, I'm going to do it anyway. And I say, okay, I'm going to train you in the program. You're going to go and do it. And then 2 weeks later, she came back and then she said, my toddler now is sleeping through the night. He stopped bothering the dog. He stopped bothering my baby. And my husband noticed it.
Yeah.
And once he noticed it, I told them about Parenting with Understanding.
So
Perfect
good.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Model the
always, yeah,
behavior.
that's what we always say. We're like, model the behavior. All you can do is just you do it and then show people that it works. So I love that you said that. Gosh, we could be here all day talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
I have followers that they subscribe their husbands to my email list.
I
Oh,
love
I have
it.
followers that they went to their husband's Instagram accounts and
And followed you.
they follow me. Yes.
That's
So
amazing.
I don't know if that creates a problem in your marriage, don't do it. But
Love it.
I love it.
Thank you
Gosh,
so
well,
much,
thank
Marcela.
you so much. We're so happy that we got to talk to you, and we will get this all edited and we'll share it with you so that you could also share it on your side, and let us know any way we can help spread
help
the
us
message.
promote. Absolutely.
The same on my end. Once my programmer has the promotional code ready, I will give it to you. And then thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, for this platform. And the idea is to change children's futures and presents.
Love
and
it.
parents, I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Great.